You're listening to the All Systems Go podcast, the show that teaches you everything you need to know to put your business on autopilot. Learn how to deploy automated marketing and sales systems in your business the right way with your host, the professor of automation himself and founder of Automation Bridge, Chris Davis.
Welcome to the All Systems Go podcast. I'm your host, Chris L. Davis, founder and chief automation officer of Automation Bridge, the place online to learn about small business marketing automation, where we focus on turning digital marketing professionals into automation service providers, which are professionals that specialize in scaling your digital marketing efforts. If you'd like to become one or find out more, make sure you go to automationbridge.com/ASP right now. In this episode, I had the pleasure to sit down with Scott Martineau, co-founder of Keap, formerly Infusionsoft, and we had a chance to discuss a method and valuable resources that he created to help you get more easily and effectively plan out your marketing in preparation for automation. He calls these marketing playbooks. Or I should say marketing plays. Well, no, he calls them marketing playbooks. And we'll discuss how they can help you. Longtime listeners, you all know that the profit is in the planning. You know, the better you are at planning out your automation before execution, the more profitable you're going to be. And Scott's here to help give some resources to show you how to do that. This is also a episode that we recorded via video, and he's sharing his screen. Now, let me say this. Up until this point, we have not done a video portion of the podcast. So while you're listening to it, you'll hear me explaining what he's showing as much as possible, because there's a good chance that the video version will not be ready by the time the audio version is out. Okay. But for those of you who are subscribed and you're on the email list, you'll get a notification when the video version is ready. Scott, he started Keap, previously Infusionsoft, with his brother Eric in 2001. He received a bachelor's in computer information systems, CIS. I started in CIS from Arizona State University, and has a passion for entrepreneurs and small businesses. This passion led him to develop the ideas behind lifecycle marketing. When not at work, he spends time with his family and enjoys playing and creating music. This was fun. You'll see me and Scott had a blast. Before we jump into the podcast, though, let me just say really quick, if you're new to the podcast, listen and subscribe at the end. If you're new and you have not subscribed or joined, whatever the terminology is, make sure you do that now. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. While you're at it, your 5-star rating and reviews are greatly appreciated. If you need us to do the heavy lifting for your review, you can't figure out how to do it, where to do it, just go to automationbridge.com/review, and we'll take care of the rest for you. Okay, let's jump right into the episode with Scott. Scott, welcome to the podcast, man. I am so honored. That's the word. Yes. Found the word just in time. Honored to have you on. How are you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing so great. And I'm excited to be here too. I feel honored. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, we have a treat for you, everybody. We are going to, first and foremost, I said it in the intro, but it's worth repeating. Put some respect on the name Keap, formerly Infusionsoft, forever, right? You guys paved a path that everybody, really every software platform that is now serving the small business market in sales and marketing, everybody needs to take their hat off and pay homage to the work that you guys have done and continue to do. So I just have to keep saying that, because those who have been in this space long enough understand what got us here, you know? So anyways, it's about
I think that what's the quote about arrows in the back? Is that the pioneers? The pioneers have the arrow, just
yep. They've
the
got
trailblazers. But you know what, though, in all honesty, man, I feel like there was a long time. I remember the season in our growth where there wasn't a lot of marketing automation wasn't a thing in small business at all. We were in straight up category creation mode. And I remember that And, I think it's kind of, it was kind of nice. There was a season of operating in that place, nice for us, but I think the explosion in the market around marketing automation, it's exciting for me for a number of reasons. One, I think it just shows the need, but two, I think it makes for far better products for entrepreneurs and small businesses. And the reality is we have to keep getting better and better as service providers for small businesses. Because they don't, as a small business owner, you don't have an entire staff of IT people to go implement software. It's got to be easier. It's got to be better. It's got to be faster. So I think it's great. And I appreciate the comments. Thank you very much.
Yes. Well, we'll let our listeners know a little bit about you, Scott. Your background in the role you play at Keap.
Okay. Yeah, you bet. So, man, it was 20 years ago we started this company. And actually, interesting fact, I don't know if you know this, Chris, but when we started, we weren't called Infusionsoft. We actually we had an amazing name. I don't know why we ever left it. It was, I almost can't even say it. Enovasis was the name. I mean, I'm sure you know how to spell it, but it was a mashup of E, Nova for innovation, and Sys for systems. And I kid you not, it was actually our company name. And one day Clay's mom was like, "What's your company again? Is it E-Novices or what?" We're like, "All right, get it." So we renamed our company to, actually we renamed our company to Infusion. That was the original company, but we got the domain name Infusionsoft. And all of our customers kept calling it Infusionsoft. So we're like, okay, great. We'll go with Infusionsoft. So yeah. So 20 years ago though, man, we started Infusionsoft. And at the time we actually did custom software for a while for small businesses, which is a really hard business, but we started to see patterns and needs across all businesses. And one day this guy called us up, and Clay, who's now our CEO, my business partner, he's sitting around. He was the salesperson at the time when he wasn't, cleaning toilets, and we were all doing billable hours. I mean, this is what it was like. And he was selling, right? So he picks up the phone and this guy calls out. He's like, "I have pain. Can you help me?" And Clay didn't know who it was. He wasn't sure if it was one of our clients and something had messed up or whatever. But anyway, it was a marketing expert. He was in the mortgage industry. And he was like, I need help. And he was in a world of hurt. He had 18 different databases when we finally put everything together. And the reason he called is because he had just sent out this promotion. It was a half off promotion, but he sent it out to everybody who had just paid full price. Right. So he had real pain. Anyway, he was like, "I need help." And so we started building stuff for him. And we were just at the precipice of software going online. So we decided to build an online CRM and started to build marketing automation features. These words weren't around then.
Right.
But he's like, "Check out this tool. It does this. Let's do that." So we started building the software, and we kept the licensing rights to be able to keep the software. And finally, he got tired of footing the bill. And he's like, "All right, guys, come on, let's go sell this to my clients." So he was teaching small business owners, mortgage brokers, and loan officers how to market. Nobody was doing anything, he said, because it was too manual. So he's like, "Come to my marketing event and get up on stage and let's sell this to my people so I don't have to keep footing the bill." So we showed up. Clayton and I got up on stage and we sold. And we walked off the stage and we had 16 paper order forms, 16 order forms. And we went out and sat in my little piece of crap truck and we're like, holy crap, what just happened? And then it was like our world completely changed. First of all, we had to go actually finish the product for the people that had just bought.
Yeah. And
we had to go shut down all of our custom software work. So we had a couple guys in the team. We're like, "All right, you guys own the custom software." And we started building software, and gradually more and more of the industry marketing experts were coming to us and saying, "Hey, help me so these business owners can implement what I'm teaching them." And so, so Infusionsoft, grew. And as you mentioned it, over time, more and more people started to build additional pieces of software that would do components or parts of, and some were more direct competitors. But it's been amazing. I just think about what small business life would be like without the automation tools that are there. I mean, can you imagine what it'd be like to try to compete today without the tools? It's really exciting for small business owners. So so that's the quick story. Today we've got 120,000 users. We automate a lot of stuff. We send out billions and billions of emails every month. automate SMS, do a lot of different things for people. And, we're a very purpose and mission driven company. For us, this is about helping entrepreneurs be successful, liberating them and empowering them. So our official mission statement is we liberate and empower entrepreneurs to strengthen families, communities, and economies. And for us, that's what it's all about. We see entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial small businesses as the backbone of economies. And we just love it. We love getting up. We've have an amazing team that all is so passionate about entrepreneurs. And, we just feel lucky we get to do it every day. So that's a little bit about Infusionsoft, now Keap.
Yeah, that's amazing. You gave me, there's very few things that give me nightmares, like Freddy Krueger and all that. I'm not scared of that. But when you said, can you imagine small business without automation? Oh my goodness. If anybody wants to make a horror movie that will make me scared, that is it right there. Just all the tech removed from small business and automation. And it's important because I feel like now, 20 years later, I can't imagine what you've seen, but now we've got this COVID catalyst to where people are trying to digitize their processes as swift as possible, right? Yep. From schools that our kids are attending to businesses that want to stay afloat and realize, you know what, I don't have the physical footprint, the foot traffic, right, I should say, yep, anymore. How do I get some of this digital foot traffic and really take what's working in real world space, brick and mortar, and move it online? And that path, that's the successful path, goes through automation, because it's just impossible for you to get people to do all of the tasks that are required consistently, ongoing, at a level that is failure proof to an extent, right? All software has its failure points. So with that being said, 20 years, the good thing about your experience though, is it's not 20 years sitting in an office writing code or telling people what to do. You guys live this in the early years. The pains
That's right.
of not having software that automatically segments your database, right? Keeps track of actions clients and leads have taken and put you in a position to take the best action, to put the best messaging in front of them on the best channel at the best time. All of that back then, you guys were doing the heavy lifting. And it's also refreshing to hear how you sold the software without being ready. It was a entrepreneur that told me some of the best advice. Now, it's funny because I don't think he got into legal trouble or something, but he gave me some good advice. He said, Chris, if you're ready, you waited too late. Simple as that. Yeah. And I said, man, that is some good advice. That's good. I've lived by that, to not get in my comfort zone, to not let my comfort zone be a prerequisite, to launching and putting myself out there. So
it's funny. I remember on that point, so we didn't use our software when we started. I remember the very first time Clayt, again, he was still selling, right? So Clayt was, I think at the time we were still selling into mortgage professionals. So we'd expanded beyond that initial group. And I remember the very first time we put in place the very first automated nurture sequence. So it was our play to follow up with new leads that we had. They downloaded a guide and we were doing our first follow-up. And my brother Eric and I, who's the other co-founder, we're in there coding away or whatever. And Clayt walks in and he kind of comes in the room. He's like, guys, you're never going to guess what just happened. This guy just emailed me and said he was ready to buy. It's like, I haven't even talked to the guy. And we're like, cool, man. That's all, we're like, cool, whatever, Anyway, so then he like 3 hours later, he comes back in. He's like, guys, it just happened again. And we're like, all right, dude, that's really, and Clayt is really energetic and excited. We're obviously in the zone, Anyway, the next day he barges in the room. He's like, guys, turn around. He's like, I want eye contact. He's like, we are on to magic. It just happened again. So I know it, man. It's like, if you haven't implemented automation, you don't really know what you're missing out on. But the reality is humans get tired. They make mistakes. They're not consistent. And automation can allow you to have a very personalized experience to give your prospects and customers what they need and it frees you up to do even more. So once you kind of get a taste of it, it becomes very addictive, and you kind of want to automate everything. And anyway, so it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Man, you said it. If you've never experienced automation, you just really don't know what you're missing. I feel like if there was a gift that I could give people, it would be their first functional lead generation system, right?
Yeah.
Because especially starting out, lead gen is the system that is always the first failure point. As soon as you get clients, you're like, oh, I got clients, money. And then you turn your back on lead gen and you're like, oh, wait, my client is done. I need more. Where are they at? So having good leads too, Scott, right? Like good qualified leads delivered to your digital doorstep, until you've done that and then closed, successfully, you haven't lived the small business life in today's age. If you haven't done that, you mentioned the word playbook, and that's what I want to, you all listeners, you're in for a treat today, because talk about where that came from and how you all are using playbooks to help small businesses capitalize on digital and automation in today's age.
Yeah, you bet. Well, one of the things that's almost guaranteed is if a business owner starts to learn about automation and they just jump in and start trying to build things, inevitably there's going to be a point where things just start to blow up. And there's a number of reasons for that. I think back to a soccer team that I coached for my daughter. It was late in the season, and she's like, Dad, the only way I can get on this team is if you coach, because there's no coach available. Word to the wise, never volunteer if there's no coach available, because you get all the leftover kids that don't know how to play. Anyway, I just remember, like the team out there running around the field just in complete chaos. Usually either, one kid's off there or everybody's in a herd around the ball, which is, horrible strategy. Mm-hmm. Needless to say, we had a bad season, no wins. I think we did score 2 goals in the entire season, which was actually pretty cool. I wasn't sure if we were ever going to score a goal, but as I have observed small businesses, a lot of times business owners don't really have a sales and marketing playbook or a strategy that is clear to them now. And that makes sense, by the way. I'm not saying that by way of judgment, but it's really hard to go automate something that isn't clearly defined. And so step one is you got to get really clear on your strategy. And so when I use the word playbook, that word is thrown around a lot these days, but I'm specifically describing, it's a metaphor. It's a sports metaphor that says, what are the collection of plays that you as the business owner need to be running to make sure that you're going to hit your overall growth objectives? And we kind of break that up into 3 kind of buckets of plays, 3 phases of your life cycle, if you will. You got to have collect leads plays, the leads you're going to put in place so that you're getting leads into your funnel. And then the second one is convert clients plays. What are you doing to take those leads and turn them into paying clients? Mm-hmm. And then create fans. How do you take a one-time client, turn them into a repeat buyer who's sending referrals and giving you great reviews? So if you kind of just think about it at the most simple level, collect leads, convert clients, create fans. And, business is really quite simple. I'm not saying it's easy, but it really comes down to that. You get leads coming in, you turn them into clients, you maximize the value of each one of those clients and create raving fans. So in this context, the playbook is the collection of plays that you run in those categories. And then a play is just a discrete tactic that's very specific. And one of the reasons I think it's important to think this way is if you're not careful, and I'm sure some of your listeners will know what this feels like, you can be in constant, there is no shortage of tactics and ideas being thrown at you. And you can feel like you're in just this constant state of, I don't know if I'm in the middle or on the beginning. And I like to have plays as a very specific, concrete thing. It has a beginning, it has an end, it has a purpose. What that means is I can measure it and I can tell, is that thing doing its job? It has a specific job and I'm measuring it. Sometimes when we just, go on all you have to do is go on your Facebook feed, right? And you can get strategy after strategy, but it's not clear where it fits. So having a playbook with discrete plays that you measure, I've just seen it to be so helpful for entrepreneurs. So that's the essence of why we do that. And then maybe the last thing I'll point out is one of the reasons for this is, as an entrepreneur, you have to think about your energy. And part of your energy is driven by you having wins and successes. And a win doesn't necessarily need to be that you achieve your ultimate financial goal. There's little payoffs along the way as you're successful. So the more we can break this, get clear, prioritize what we're doing, and go have little wins, that energy becomes the fuel that you need to go to the next step. So, all of that I think is just really important. So it's a very different approach than grabbing a tool, running out and trying to do something. Let's start with the strategy, get really clear, see where your gaps are, prioritize, go get a win. And then, the cool thing about automation, you get a win, you put something in place, and now you free up time to go do more stuff, right? So anyway, that's the gist of what I mean when I say playbook.
Yeah, and in the piece that is the most important, everybody, is the focus on strategy. You've heard me say it many times again on this podcast, and it's worth repeating on every podcast, honestly, until it is embedded into the fabric of your muscle memory. Like you do it without even thinking, is that you have to get good. You have to get good at defining your strategy. Now, some people, Scott, let's just be honest, I like to free people because sometimes you have somebody holding themselves to a standard that's just not fair. And I learned this at Lead Pages when I was there. We have these landing page templates that are designed for conversion. We've done all of this was before drag and drop, Scott. So you just take it off the shelf, adjust the copy, change the colors, and you've got a high converting, well-designed landing page. Well, I can't tell you how many people butchered those landing pages. It was like, how could you make something so ugly out of something so beautiful? Like it had to have taken you more time to break this than to just leave it as is and update some little stuff with it and hit publish. But what the freeing element is, you should not be designing anything. You should not touch anything that requires design. So there are going to be some people who just aren't strategic thinkers. And for those, hey, listen to this podcast and understand that there's an importance in strategy. But if you're not that strategic thinker, it is, especially in marketing, it is up to you to partner up, find that strategic mind for your business, because you're not going to be able to successfully leverage automation without it. So for those who are and can, navigate that strategy, that's the strategic field, you guys have a resource that makes it extremely easy for people who are just like, okay, I think I want to give this strategy thing a shot. Instead of starting out with a blank piece of paper, I like the blank piece of paper and the whiteboard, so I could just start crafting stuff out, right? But you guys have a really good tool, and I'm excited for you to walk through it today. That really helps people start to ask the right question, right? For the right phase of those three stages. So if you could go into that a bit, and let me say this, for those of you who are watching this video, where this will be on YouTube, you'll get to see Scott share his screen and demo. Those of you who are listening, I know you're on your treadmill or at work or commuting. I'll do like a narration, and Scott will explain what he's showing, but I really want to hone in on the importance of strategy, and highlight how you guys are using playbooks to make it easy for people to define what those are in their business, and so they can better prepare.
Love it. Yeah. And I'll try to, I think even if you're not, I love your point about just, if necessary, partner with somebody that can help you build the strategy. I think it's brilliant. At a minimum, I think you need to understand at a high level each of these three buckets, and just have the ability to assess, do I have something in place, and how am I going to be able to measure if it's working?
Yeah.
So we'll try to, I think we'll be able to cover that today. And I'm going to, my goal today, I'm not going to go super deep. I want to keep this fairly high level. So there's some concepts, and then Chris will show you all how you can get your hands on this. Okay. So
yes.
So let's see, make sure, can you see my screen okay there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So this is a tool, and I put this together inside of Google Sheets. It's not a software program. Well, I guess Google Sheets is a software program, but I have to say it's pretty souped up Google sheet. So let me kind of orient you to it. First of all, you'll come in, you want to put your business name down there, and then select from this list of business types. The reason that is important will come up later. I'll show you why.
Mm-hmm.
And then to the point about energy, I recommend everybody start with this little business performance and growth goals. And by the way, I've got, if this isn't showing up on your version, there's little collapsible sections off to the left side. So just click that and it'll open up. And so what you want to do is go in here and put your monthly sales revenue, put the number of leads you get every single month. And by lead, I'm just saying somebody who, who's showing interest in your product. Hopefully you have some mechanism for capturing their information. We'll talk more about that in a second. And then the number of clients that you're selling on a regular basis. So those are kind of your initial stats you got to put in there. And it's okay if you don't know them exactly. This is not perfect science. It's just trying to get you in the ballpark.
Yeah.
And then put in here, what's the goal you want to get to? I have this as a 60-day sales goal. You could change that to 90 days or a 12-month goal, whatever. And then you'll see it calculates here what your target is. So this is a 56% growth if we want to go from 4,500 a month to 7,000 a month. Okay. Yep. Now, also over here on the left side, if you collapse this down, what this does now is it does a few important calculations for you that kind of set up your objectives. So in this case, to get to 7,000 in growth, you'll see two things. There's some black numbers here and some blue numbers. The black numbers are your current calculation. So 105 leads, you're converting at 3.8% into clients, and your average customer value is 1,125. So that's what gets you to your 4,500 a month. Now, the blue line says, okay, what do we need to do to get to 7,000? And this is actually an interesting kind of principle of marketing. It shows you the compounding value of attacking different areas of your business. So what happens is if we were to achieve all these things at the same time, all we would need to do is all we need to do is increase our lead flow, our leads captured by 17. So 105 up 17 more, increase our conversion by 0.6 percentage points, and then increase our customer value by $179. If we do all three of those things, we get to 7,000. Yeah. Now, I don't know about you, Chris, but when I look at those numbers, that feels really doable. That feels like something it's very achievable. So, I think there's a lesson in just kind of breaking down the work. You can sit at a 56% growth target and maybe get a little bit overwhelmed, but I think everybody could be like, yeah, I can figure out how to go from 105 leads and get 17 more.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what, Scott, what I love about this as I'm watching you fill this out, is the clarity that you get, and some of you may not be numbers people, but, for those of you who are listening, everything is just clean and clear to see. So at a minimum, if you have your current monthly sales, Scott has $4,500 here, and you say, hey, I need to get to 7,000. It's going to tell you how much growth that is, but it gives you your target. You need 17 more leads. Now, for me, I'm a target person. You give me a target. If I don't hit it the first time, I'll recalibrate, right? It's like an arrow. Okay, the wind was blowing a little. Let me adjust that to the left. Okay, iOS 14 drop. Let me adjust this. Or, Facebook changed its algorithm. Let me do this. Google no longer does whatever. But you have some metric and means. I don't think anybody can execute a strategy successfully without understanding what the end result of that strategy being executed successfully should yield you. So if 17 leads, which by the way, this playbook is creating that for you. You didn't have to think about that. You just put your goals in there and it generated the amount of leads that you need. I feel empowered with that, Scott. That doesn't seem overwhelming to me. Now I have a metric. When I get 2 leads, I'm like, okay, 15 more. Right? I get 5 leads. I'm like, exactly. Ooh, 10 more. Right.
And that's what I'm saying about energy. Even the process of setting goals is an energizing process, right? You get into a place of decision, you set a target, that creates energy. It's very different than what else do you do, right? If you're sitting there and you have no goal, it's like, I'm going to do things and do better and maybe look at the bank account balance at the end of the day. But that, in terms of confidence, it's hard to have confidence when you're not clear about the steps getting to that direction. Right. So yeah, we're kind of going to the end result and backing our way up.
And I love it. So my strategic thinkers that want to get stronger in your marketing strategy, always start with the end in mind. Stephen Covey, always start at the end. What is the end in marketing? What are the goals? What are the goals we're trying to achieve? If you don't know the goal, just start with the revenue. Where are you at and where do you need to be? If you have those two items, it's going to take you a long way. And then, of course, if you're using this playbook, it will start to populate exactly what you need to be focusing on to do. So that's great. You've got the drop down where we can select the business type. We can set our goals. So we can set various business types, and then we have our goals in place. And now it looks like you guys have 3 categories that you can now start to define the steps that people could take within there to achieve the goals that they determine.
One more quick thing, I guess, I didn't mention earlier. So if, in some cases, increasing customer value, it may just be something you don't want to focus on right now. So you can uncheck that in this just by clicking the little checkbox, and it'll redistribute. So now instead of 17 leads, I need to get 26 if I'm not going to increase my customer value. So you can play around with that, however you want.
That's interesting. So what that allows you to do, Scott, is isolate one. If you say, hey, look, I just want to focus on, I just got a bunch of new clients, or a bunch of new leads, I should say. What do I need to convert them at if I don't want to collect any new leads and I'm not thinking about increasing my average customer value? What would that conversion rate be that I need to be at to get the most out of the leads that I just generated? Wow, that's nice.
Okay, so now the work is we need to go find the plays that are going to deliver each of those blue numbers. How do we get 17 more leads? How do we get 0.6% more conversion? So down below, these are the most common types of plays that you should be running. So underneath collect leads, in order to get more leads, one, we need a really strong online lead capture play, or more than one play. And so if you drop this down, what you'll see is that depending on the industry that you've chosen, you'll see a number of recommended plays that you can choose from. And so let's just take in the case of coach and consultant, which is what I have selected. You can see here a book a free consultation play. Now, so that's an online lead capture play, because what it means is on your website, you'll say, hey, click here to schedule a free consultation. Well, that's actually a mechanism for turning a visitor into a lead. They're going to enter their contact information, their phone number, their email address. And now you'll have them captured and hopefully segmented in your system. And so that becomes a lead capture play. And if you don't have that right now, what it means is you might be a coach or a consultant, and you're missing out on traffic that's coming to your site who maybe we're not ready to necessarily buy, but they would be willing to have a consultation with you. And even if you offer a consultation that's not available to be booked on your site, you're still probably missing leads because people don't have a way of connecting. Maybe they call you or text you and you're not available. So, and then you can see a bunch of others. You may have a lead magnet download or a free ebook download, something where you're educating people in exchange for them giving you their information. You're going to collect that lead. There's another bucket down here of offline lead capture. So do you have a systematic way for lead intake for people who call you meet in person, and so forth? Again, a lot of people say, I got to go spend more money to get leads, but yet every day they're interacting with potential leads and they're not capturing them. So what is your offline lead capture play?
Scott, I love the fact that even just asking that question, right? It lets people understand the areas of their business that they need to be focusing on, right? And a lot of times, if you're not familiar with technology, you don't know how to repurpose it, right? So anybody, this may sound silly, but this is true. If you met somebody in person, you can bring up your own capture form on your phone. And if you guys are exchanging it and you're strategic, say, well, I do have, I've got a 10 steps and it's a checklist that you can go through. You want me to send it to you? Oh my gosh, if you could do that, instead of exchanging business cards, you can literally put their information, fill in a web form on your page for them, or give them your phone, right? And say, fill this in. Like, there's so many ways when you say offline.
That's what this mobile handshake is all about. You give them your phone. Yeah. And imagine that, like, imagine going from, I mean, you all know the feeling when you meet somebody, you can tell there's some potential interest and you're like,
Yep.
hey, I want to reach out. Right. And then, you know, in the back of your head, you know, I don't know what the percentage is for you, but maybe it's 30%, maybe it's 70% likelihood. But what if you could just say, you put them in, you click one button that maybe tags them in a certain way, and then boom,
Yes.
you know exactly what's happening. They're going to get the thing you told them they were going to get, right? Which is about
Yep.
being consistent with your word. And then it's going to prompt you to follow up in a cadence that's important. So yeah,
Yep.
super, super
Love it,
important.
man. Love it.
If you want in this tool, you can also kind of indicate, is this a play that you have not yet created at all? Is it a play that you are doing, but it's manual and you need to automate it? Is it a play that's in motion? You want to measure it to see how effective it is? Or is it a play where you're doing it, you're measuring, it's automated, and you know you need to optimize it? So, you know, in this case, we'll say create. I need to create a new book a free consult play.
Love it. Love
And
it.
then we don't need to go into the same level of depth here. Your listeners can go through this if they want at their own pace. But once I have a lead capture, what are the new lead follow-up plays that I'm going to put in place? So in the case of this, if I just did a book a free consult, I want to have a consult reminders and persuasion. Well, and this kind of goes back to the point of what's the purpose of the play? Well, the purpose of this play, we have a new person who's booked. We could do nothing and just hope they show up, right? But this play is saying, no, I know I have somebody who's just scheduled a consult. My goal is, number one, I got to get them to show up. Number two, I want them when they show up to be predisposed to doing business with me so that my sales consult, my consultation is more productive.
Yep.
So that's the objective. So if you're trying to say, okay, how well am I doing at that? You know, your measurements would be those two things. So consult, you know, reminders and persuasion, and then hot lead conversion. What are the plays you have in place to make sure that once you know somebody's a hot lead, how do you make sure they never slip through the cracks?
Yes.
And that you convert them, you know, at a high rate, right? So you have your consult sales presentation play, deal pipeline. That's another one. Like, what is your system for keeping track of these hot leads? If you've gone through the time, you've had a consultation with somebody, they may not be ready to do business today. Do you have a bulletproof system for hot lead conversion, right? That's in place. So, you know, so get that one figured out. Unconverted leads, same thing. It's opposite path, right? But if somebody has signed up for one of your, you know, maybe your consultation, they didn't move forward, what are you doing to make sure you're nurturing those unconverted leads, right? So a whole lot of plays you can do there. And then after the sale, so once you've converted somebody, wow, new customers, what are the plays you have in place to make sure that you don't just deliver and do an okay job, but you go above and beyond to make the experience for that new client or customer amazing? Yeah. So that might be you anticipating every one of the needs as you've worked with clients. What are the questions they ask? Well, get one step ahead of that, communicate with them, you know, preempt the questions they're going to have. It's such an amazing experience for all of us when we interact with a company that clearly knows what we want before we're going to ask it. Systematize that, put that into place so that, you know, every single time a new customer comes through your, you know, your system, you're into your business, they're getting the red carpet treatment. Yep. And then finally, we've got multiply. That is, how do we take that happy customer now and multiply their value, right? What's our intentional play for driving upsells, for driving reviews and testimonials, and for getting customers to refer their friends? So those are the, you know, at the highest level, those are the plays. And, you know, for those who are using the sheet, you can expand this if you want to, you know, if I was going through this, I'd recommend you document the plays you already have in place.
Yeah.
Look at the whole thing, see where you've got gaps. If you've got nothing going on in wow, new customer, maybe that's something you want to plug in. So you can expand this to capture more of those plays. And then probably the most important thing, Chris, is once you've gone through this, you need to ask yourself the question, what plays are most likely to put me on the path to getting to my objectives? Yes. And you've got to prioritize. You cannot simultaneously try to implement 15 plays. Yep. You need to get your top 3 narrowed, and you need to start working on your top 1. And remember, you solve the one, it creates enough energy, it creates energy, and it creates space for you to go solve the others, right? So get the top 3 identified. We got this next action in here. So what I'd recommend is something like put a 1 and say, you know, book a consult, put a 2 and say whatever your number 2 is, and then go to town and get that baby executed.
I love it. It just really helps you organize your brain. I mean, being that I've created sheets nowhere near this robust, but impressive sheets for others, you know, but this is to a level that I have not gone into. It's so simple, everybody who are listening. Everything has a drop down. So you're not necessarily typing in anything besides it's educational, just going through the drop downs as well. Right.
Yeah,
Some of
right.
you are
Yeah.
not asking yourselves, how are you following up with the hot leads? I teach indicators of interest, right? If somebody is hot, what type of indicator are you sending to yourself or your team to let you know this is the time? There's nothing wrong with jumping on the phone with somebody, right? Right on that. And in that moment,
that's right.
There's nothing wrong with sending that personal email. There's nothing wrong with introducing the human element at the right time. And the easiest time to think, well, I don't know what the right time is, when they're hot.
Love it.
Right? Like, start there. And then, of course, you can expand out. Scott, this is amazing, man. And I'm excited to share this as a resource. Real quick, I know we're reaching our I don't like to keep people too long, but this is so valuable. I don't want to be constricted with time, but I want to give you at least 5 minutes or so to talk about the major overhaul happening in you guys' company right now. And that is this branding transition from Infusionsoft that, all of us legacy users, that know Infusion and know Infusionsoft have dealt with days before the campaign builder, right? And
That's
days
right.
after. So we've been deep in it. And old habits, they die hard. So I know on this podcast, I've said Infusionsoft so many times, and then people will see my transition to Infusionsoft by Keap. But now I want to give you the floor and just help our listeners. Some of them have never heard of it, and some of them are trying to figure out, okay, what's the difference? Just take 5 minutes or so and talk about the new branding, the positioning, and what we could look forward to.
You bet. So about 3 years ago, we made a decision, and this, we could have a whole podcast episode on a rebrand. It's a very, very traumatic experience, I think, for any business to go through. But we felt like, to accomplish our mission to liberate and empower entrepreneurs, and really do that at scale, we're talking in the millions. We felt like we needed to have a much simpler offering for the market. And, at the time, Infusionsoft was, clearly the most powerful tool on the market. And we were excited about the power that was there, but it came with a cost of trying to figure out how to use it. Like, people would often say, man, it just was so hard to get up and running, and now I can't imagine my life without it. And we made a decision that, we were committing to expanding automation to be more accessible to more entrepreneurs. And so part of that was a product launch. And we essentially rebuilt the entire user interface and launched a new, simplified, but yet still powerful interface. And when we launched that product, we also made a decision to change the name of the company. And, you can see, even going from Infusionsoft, 4-syllable word down to one, like, it's part of a decision to, keep, it's to simplify. And it also fits really well with our overall message to the world, which is, keep going, keep serving, keep growing your small business. And so we made the name change. We launched the new product that was called Keap, and we kept Infusionsoft, the product, named that way. It was Infusionsoft by Keap. All the way up until just a couple of months ago, when we made the official decision to unify our entire product line under the name of Keap. So we officially retired the name Infusionsoft.
Wow.
And that was hard, man. I have a lot of history with Infusionsoft too. And I know I don't judge anybody where the name Infusionsoft still, slips out of their lips.
Yeah.
Chris. But but yeah, so we now have one product line. It's Keap. We've got Keap 3 editions. So we have Lite, we have Pro, and we have Max. And inside of Max, there's 2 versions. There's Max Classic, which is what was formerly known as Infusionsoft, and then Max, which is built on the new interface. And we allow our Max customers to choose which interface they want. They can be on the Classic if they want. A lot of people just have become accustomed to it. They know it, it's comfortable, and that's great. Yeah. And then those who want to try out the new interface can do that as well. And we're gradually, there are not all of the bells and whistles in Max Classic are yet in Max. We're gradually adding more and more. But you know, if users get in, they'll see there, it's just a much simpler, it's a fun interface. I think our design team has really taken us to a different level. And
Love it.
you know, this right now we're in the middle of a launch for what we call the feature we call easy automations, which is, I think, just one of the simplest ways for entrepreneurs to get access to automation that I've seen. It's as simple as, when this happens, then this happens. We have beautiful templates, and it really has made automation even more accessible. And so we have easy automations that allow quick access to automations, and we have our campaign builder, which is still just an amazing, you know, powerful tool for automation. And so, you know, I think what people can expect is, number one, a product that is committed to being both easy and powerful. That's really what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's easy enough for you to be able to manage it, powerful enough to help you grow fast. And, you know, probably the most significant thing, which really kind of comes full circle to the playbook, is we as a company, our number one objective, we had some soul searching to do over the past several years. We brought in some new leaders. We can cover that whole story later.
Yep.
But as of beginning of last year, Clayton and I took back over in the company. And one of the things that I'm most excited about is our company's number one objective is, we are committed to achieving the results our customers want. And that's this blue thing. Our internal metrics are our customers hitting their growth goals? Yeah. And so right now we take this whole playbook process, for example, and we go through this with one of our coaches for every single client when they come on. And then we track their goals. Are you hitting your goal? Are you hitting your goal? And we're looking at the plays. How are the plays working? If not, we're going to tweak it and optimize it with you. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's what people can expect. They can expect, you know, awesome advancements, awesome features in the software, and probably most importantly, a partner that's going to be there with them. And whether you're working directly with Keap or with one of our certified partners, which I know, Chris, you're one of those. Yep. We're here to help you hit your goals and help you, you know, take things to the next level and really catch a glimpse of what automation can do for you. So we love what we do, man. There's so many, the entire team at Keap is just so passionate about entrepreneurs, and what fuels us is seeing y'all hit your goals. So yeah, that's, you know, in a nutshell, that's what you can expect from us.
Yeah, I will say, you know, you used the word traumatic, and I think it was so applicable, right? Because there's, you know, there is some emotional connection to the name, more so for you guys than us. But just kind of seeing it sunset and, you know, go off into the green pastures, it's like a form of grief, you know, but in there's this excitement because I see what you guys are doing, right? It's almost like now you can approach automation by just kind of saying, this is what I want to do. Yeah. And then this, and just by having that natural conversation, before you know it, you're automating. And you're like, oh, and it's not as overwhelming, Scott. It doesn't seem as much of a heavy lift. And that's what I really appreciate about the shift, is that we can see, I mean, even just your presence here on the podcast shows there is a true, like, authentic dedication to ensuring that small businesses succeed. And sometimes, Scott, I tell you, it's easy for these marketing companies to say that and, you know, take pictures of how well they're treating their employees and, you know, have all of these open mic and fireside chats and everything. But at the end of the day, the proof is, are you adapting to the times, and is your product reflecting that you understand the needs of the small business owner? Mm-hmm. and you're actively serving that, you know? So
well said.
I appreciate it, man. I see it all. It is not underappreciated this way. I like to ensure that anybody that I'm helping, mentoring, coaching, or whatnot, I lead them in the best direction. And it helps me when the software is doing the same. Like, let me make sure we're positioned. So, Scott, man, thank you for coming on. Your dedication to the small business space, I deeply appreciate it. I have benefited greatly. You know, I am who I am because of Infusionsoft. You know, that was my gateway into this profession. So I will always have a strong affinity for the company and the software in itself. And I can't thank you enough for coming on, man, talking about this marketing playbook, helping our listeners reaffirm the importance of strategy. And again, making that strategy extraction easy. So with that being said, I'm going to have a link, Scott, to this exact playbook. So all of my listeners, if when you're listening to this, you go to automationbridge.com/playbook, automationbridge.com/playbook, you'll be able to get your own copy of this exact one. Those of you who are watching on video, you've seen it. This is exactly what you'll get. Those of you who are listening, if you're like, what was it? Go there right now. And you can download it to your phone, take a peek at it, get home, put it on the big screen, and set some time to really get clear on your strategy and get your goals defined. So with that being said, Scott, is there anything else you want our listeners to know, anywhere you want them to go to get connected and find more out about Keap?
Yeah, well, a couple of quick things. One, I want to just clean up the fact that Keap's product, Max Classic, you said something about green, out to green pastures. That product is not going out to pasture. Just the name. just the name. Yeah. The name is out to pasture. Yeah, we're investing heavily in Max Classic, and a lot of excited fans there. So I just, first of all, thank you. It's awesome to be with you. I love what you're doing to teach entrepreneurs and automation service providers, as you call them. And anybody who's, if you aren't familiar with Keap, just go to keap.com, keap.com. Jump into the free trial. You'll get a sense for what Keap can do. But it's, we are sales and marketing automation. We combine CRM, marketing automation, sales automation, and e-commerce and payments into one platform. We'd love to help you hit your goals, and appreciate what you're doing here, Chris, and let us know how we can help.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Scott. Everybody be on the lookout for resources, new resources from Keap. They're always innovating, and my promise to you is I will always keep you all up to date with the latest and greatest. Scott, we've talked about this, everybody, but we may have to run it back with Clayt as well. And
I think we need to
and really talk about the story behind Infusionsoft and just small business in general, so that they can feel empowered, man. They need to feel empowered now like none other.
I believe it. I'm with you, man.
Yes. So
all right. Well, thanks,
Scott,
everybody.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes. Thank you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
Yep. You too. Thank you for listening to this episode of the All Systems Go podcast. I told you, Scott and I had a lot of fun just kind of walking through. You could see, right? You could tell, how well versed, of course, being I was going to say the creator, but being the founder, right, of Infusionsoft, or co-founder, I should say. Can you imagine what he's seen? So some of that has come out. And a lot of that has come out in the resources that he's able to easily provide you all with. The link for that playbook is in the show notes. And please use it. Please use it. Anything that can speed up your planning and preparation is going to help your automation. Okay, so anything that's going to speed up your planning and preparation is going to help your automation. And, I've said it enough. I said it enough in this episode and in prior episodes. It doesn't matter what software I'm currently using, who I've worked for and who I will work for or with. You have to pay respect where respect is due. And we are all in the space of marketing automation, primarily because of the great work done, the path paved by Keap, formerly Infusionsoft. So I'm eternally grateful. My certification means a lot, right? Since the day I got it up until now. And, my experience has, of course, expanded beyond just Keap. But they're etched in history of marketing automation. So let's always pay that respect, regardless of any frustrations or confusion or whatever you have, hangups you have. No company is perfect. And with that being said, again, I'm just thankful for him to come on. I feel like we should have Clayt on too. So I'll be working on that, getting Clayt on here and having them both on and just tell a little bit more about the story of Infusionsoft to Keap and just some of what they've seen. I mean, they've seen so many trends helping these small businesses. I think it'd be great for you all to know. All right. So who needed to hear it? Who's that founder with speed, that's looking at a rebrand or potentially has just rebranded, Calendly, at the time of this recording, Calendly just announced their rebranding. I would say if any of my listeners know the CEO, I can't pronounce his name because I'm not familiar saying it enough, but we're connected on LinkedIn, would love to have him as a guest. Love to have him as a guest, or just let him listen to this and learn about some of the pain points Keap has gone through and is going through, and even maybe they can be connected. So let's be a resource, everybody. But definitely share this with somebody who's looking at a rebrand, or anybody that's in the space that didn't know why did Infusionsoft become Keap? What is it? What should we look out for? How do I do better at marketing? This is a great episode for them. So make sure you share it. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, this is my invitation for you to join. Join the family. Subscribe, join, follow, whatever the case is. Leave a 5-star rating review. I'm waiting on you, and I'm relying on your ongoing listenership. Okay. Here at Automation Bridge, we're dedicated. We're dedicated to training digital marketing professionals to become automation service providers. Professionals that scale profitable digital marketing efforts with ease by properly matching the right technology with the strongest strategy and building a system to deploy in an ongoing fashion for your immediate and permanent growth. Okay. If that's you, if you want to be a part of that, responsible for the success of your own business or your clients by way of automation, marketing automation, go to automationbridge.com/ASP and take the next steps. That may include talking to me or someone on my team or some other steps. But the very first thing you need to do is go to automationbridge.com/ASP. And as I mentioned, we're accepting guests. If you're connected with any founders of marketing or sales software, we'd love to have them on the podcast to discuss their software and their journey. If you're a marketing automation consultant experiencing success with your clients, and you like to share with the collective audience, both, come on over to automationbridge.com/guest. I would love to talk to you, and I'm sure our listeners would love to listen to you. Okay. So with that being said, you've heard about Keap. You heard about what they offer. You've heard about how to plan out your marketing. We're providing you with the resource. My question is, what else do you need to move swiftly, to move quickly towards success? Success honors the feet of the swift, right? So if you want to move swiftly towards success, make sure you go to automationbridge.com/ASP to get started. All of the show notes and podcasts are accessible at automationbridge.com/podcast. You can subscribe there to listen to other episodes at your leisure. So until next time I see you online, automate responsibly, my friends.